It is now official. Drake did not drop in October, even though many things hinted at him actually dropping his new album Iceman during the month of October's very own. But today we have to go over what happened since, because at this point he needs to be very careful that the hype doesn't die down, and there are still people like DJ Academics pretty much convinced that it's dropping this year, even though after not dropping in October, that is also very unlikely. So we'll go over everything today, so let's jump straight into this. If you want to stay up to date with everything surrounding hip-hop, make sure to subscribe and also become a part of this community by joining our Discord server in the description. You can now sign up for my free newsletter with the first link in the description. It comes every Sunday and recaps everything that's been happening in hip-hop over the past week, so make sure to do that. So quick recap over why we thought that he was going to be dropping in October. This has not been confirmed by him whatsoever. We'll make it quick because we talked about this quite a bunch, but obviously OVO, October's very own, in the past he's hinted at this being his month, whatever that means, and also his last album For All the Dogs dropped in October, and we did have an opportunity October 24th, which was also his birthday. And also, if you remember, back in the first episode for the Iceman rollout, we've had him as the employee of this Iceman sculpture company, and after he's leaving work, he's punching in the numbers 1024. So you would have guessed that that date would mean something. In the end, it didn't, so we're still here not having the record. At least a lot of people thought that because of this, that he was going to be dropping. Now, most recently, Drake had been very active posting about the World Cup series in baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Obviously, the Dodgers won, so that wasn't a very great day for Drake. He also put out a lot of posts about this, a story of a Blue Jay just in the past 24 hours, but also we have a bit of a footage from him at the actual game, so here is that.
Come back at the World Series, Game 6. We're here right now, outside with the family. Snakes. Here. Game 6. Game 6 and 6. You guys know what time it is. Close out.
When are you coming to Toronto again? I'm here all the time. What are you doing for?
Gangster.
And a lot of people have been saying that he really doesn't look like he's about to drop a record. And as I just said, he needs to be very careful now, because we haven't gotten a new episode from Drake in weeks, months. And it seems like maybe some people are not that convinced anymore that this is dropping anytime soon. I've seen this tweet on X, for example, from somebody saying if Drake doesn't drop Iceman this month, now this is from November 1st, so in this case he's referring to November this month, it's probably not coming till 2026. December is when all the Christmas songs flood the charts, so it wouldn't make sense for him to drop then. And this is what I've been saying for quite some time too, because it's usually that way. There are a couple of records that drop in December. We talked about this yesterday with Travis Scott and Mirage 2. But if an album doesn't drop in November, it's very likely that it's also not dropping in December, just because of the fact that it's really hard to get a #1 in December with all of the Christmas songs charting. And that's the reason most people or most artists don't drop in December. And I guess Drake also wouldn't. At least he's not done so in the past. And so he needs to be careful, because after missing out on October, after not giving us a new episode for the Iceman rollout that we really loved, that all Drake fans were really excited about, because that's just something that we hadn't gotten from him before, he needs to now be careful not to let the hype die down, because this next solo record is obviously important. After the beef with Kendrick, this is the project that everybody is looking at when it comes to him proving that he's still one of the best in the game. Now, as I said, there are still people like DJ Academics who always does seem to have some sort of inside info. At least he's had so in the past, and he's also been going up on Instagram talking about Iceman dropping soon, Drake getting off the Europe tour. Obviously, none of that ever came to anything. We also got hints at a new episode, an episode 4 from him, that also didn't materialize. But he just went on Twitter or X and said, "Dear hip hop media, I know you starvin'. Iceman gonna help y'all pay the bills exclusive. It's on the way so soon." So he's hinting at this thing. If he's saying so soon, still dropping this year. I mean, if you read this tweet, you wouldn't think that this means it's dropping in 2026. So he's still convinced. Sometimes he does have inside info that we do not have, but I'm really doubting that this is actually going to be happening. We obviously have to wait and see. I don't know who he's referring to. I know there's a kind of a drought going on right now when it comes to hip hop. We've also gotten the recent news that there hasn't been a hip hop song, a rap song, charting in the top 40. That's the first time ever since the 90s that that's happened. So it's really not a good time for the genre right now. And he's saying that Iceman, the new Drake record, will help everybody pay the bills. So let's see if he actually knows something that we don't. But it's really not looking like that right now. Now, also, we had this picture, for example, I guess this was also in Toronto, from 40 and Smiley linking up. This doesn't have to mean anything. I just wanted to put this in here because it's somehow Drake related. Now, one more thing that I did want to discuss is, y'all remember the last video we talked about the Bahamas. The Bahamas were kind of this thing that a lot of people were looking at because, you know, sometimes artists retreat to these remote places. The Bahamas isn't remote, but it's somehow still, you fly there to vacation or you work on a record to, as I said, finish an album. Kanye's done this. Kanye's always somewhere finishing a record. If it's Hawaii, if it's Rome, if it's Tokyo, if it's, Saudi Arabia for Vultures. And we thought that this was kind of go the same way with Drake and the Bahamas. We've had people like P&D also fly down to the Bahamas. We've had Johnny Manziel that we talked about, who posted so much about Drake, also talking about the Iceman is on the way, stuff like that, where we just thought, okay, all of these people flying down to the Bahamas, there needs to be something happening. In the end, it's kind of what I also said in the last video before we were sure that he wasn't going to be dropping in October. It really looks like they were just down there to celebrate Drake's birthday on October 24th, and that was just it. It was just kind of confusing because we did get footage out of the studio with Johnny Manziel in there listening to old Drake songs, so it seemed like maybe they were also in the studio in the Bahamas working on it, but that's not how it was. As I said, that's just something that we have to kind of check off. The Bahamas was a kind of a false alarm, nothing going on there. And at this point, we'll have the next 4 weeks to see if anything happens for Iceman. If we get a new episode, if we get a new single, if we do get the entire record. If that doesn't happen, then I am pretty much convinced, 99%, that this record is not coming in December, so not coming in 2025, and we'll have to wait until next year. But maybe Academics is right. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. Let's see how all of this turns out. I do want to know what y'all think about everything we discussed today. When do you think Iceman is finally dropping? What do you make of all the new stuff we've gotten? What do you make of the back-to-back win from the Dodgers? Let me know what you think about everything we discussed today in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.